Alright, I'd like to introduce one of my tools showing how to use the tool to throw the repeat things. Usually you have found someone have some kind of a gauge, put it aside of the wheel and gauge it, but I do it quite differently, and I like to use the tool to show you how I throw three repeat size of noodle bowls. And these three pieces of bowls, I weighed it's around 2.5 pounds. And I'm going to use my tool to show you how to do that. Here is my, you can call a bottom thickness gauge, or it's a hybrid. You can use it for also when you're trimming, you can measure the thickness of your bottom. And also you can turn this into so-called Tombo stick. Here is the Tombo stick, how they work. So you are going to throw your ball and measure the depth and then measure the width. Okay, there's a ruler here. And to hold this in position, you throw your first one. And then you measure the depth and the width. And then you check the depth and the width for the next one or for the following balls so that you could make them the same size. This is how I set it up. The O-ring, I have a thicker one going for the vertical ruler. Put it in, and then put this in, and then the other one, the thicker one, to go. So the horizontal ruler can be held in position, okay, like this. And then the thinner one, you can slide it in for the horizontal ruler. Put it right here. I temporarily put it 180. 180. And I put it here around 90, 95. And let's see here if we could throw using the 2.5 pound of clay to make a noodle bowl, and then we can adjust it by sliding the little O-ring to measure it. Okay, so let's put this aside. Okay, so for making the bowl, usually I'm just using my finger to dig it in and then making the curve. And if you are struggling making the curve nicely, I have a few good tool that is helping you. This round rib, you use that to compress it, and you automatically have the very nice curve on the inside. Or you can use my hybrid rib tool. You can also use that to compress a nice curve. And basically, you can just use the finger to do that. Okay, so when you start with a nice curve, and then you just follow and lift the clay from the curve. Pick it up put my thumb here. Since this is not a very big and thick pieces, my initial lifting is just use the left thumb and the fingers and pinch and then lift. And use my right hand to brace my thumb so it's more stable, and then just follow the curve and then lift it. And remove the slip of my fingertip and then brush inside of the bowl first. Make sure it is slippery. And I could squeeze the corner here so I will be able to use up all my clay since I'm going to trim the foot. So And I don't need the foot to be very wide, so I'm squeezing it in and brush a little bit of water on the outside. And now I'm gonna pinch it using, initially I was using my left thumb, but now my left thumb is too short, so I'm extending my right thumb and then using my the fingers, okay, holding on the side and just extending my thumb. So that is the position. First this and then this, and this hand is holding on the side of the wall. And just do the same thing, pretending my right thumb is my left and then lift it. Okay, so that 2 pulls and I almost got the right thickness. And now all I need to do is just slightly adjust the curve carefully. And then after that, I'm going to use my metal rib to smooth the outside. And also get rid of all the slip. And slightly using my inside finger push the wall against my rib. Okay, so that is how I throw my noodle ball. And then before I smooth the rim, if you have the ball rib, you can use the ball rib to compress, especially the from the center to the outer part of the foot, the supporting foot, the base is the place right there. This part here is usually people has trouble with making it smooth. So this is how the rib is working to help in it to compress that part. And slightly hold the tool. I'm using my 3 fingers here to hold the round rib, and then slightly hold it, tilt it. You don't want to hold it too straight. Slightly tilt it, and then slightly compress from the center to towards your right, since the wheel is spinning counterclockwise. And you can tilt it until you see the nice curve. And I can slightly move my rib up against the wall and slowly go up. So you can see that each side of the wall is nicely curved using just this compression rib to do that. Let me wipe up the water. And you see that the inside curve is following all the way through. That way you tilted your rib, you can create a multiple curve, shallow curve, more steep curve, shallow curve if you hold it this way, right? So that's how you adjust it. And of course, I have multiple ribs that they all have a nice curve, perfect curve. So you can use that to do the compressing too. Right, like this one here, you already have the curve. So all you need to do is just use that against the wall and you get a nice curve. Okay, so that is how I use the rib. And then if you don't want the texture from the wood is not perfectly smooth. There's a little grain in it. If you don't want that, you can use your metal rib to do your final smoothing. And this is how I do using the rib. I bend it and hold it more horizontal, the better, and start to smooth it a little bit away from the very center point, and slightly moving my rib all the way to the rim. Okay, so that is how I throw a ball, and a nice curve on the inside is very important because the first impression when people picking a ball, they just look at the inside of the ball. They will see the inside of the ball first. So that is the first impression. So let me do it again and show you how I hold my rib and hold it against that and move it up all the way to the rib. And now use the chamois to compress the rim. And if you want the rib slightly open up so that it's easier for you to stack up your balls. Usually if you have ball like this, it's very hard for you to stack it up, but you make it slightly wider so you can stack up the balls together. And in that case, I am moving the rim slightly outward. So that way you can stack up the ball. So will be my first ball, and then I'm going to repeat the same size. Like I told you that you want to repeat. All you need to do is measure the depth and measure the width and repeat the same depth and same width so that you will be able to repeat it. Right, so I am all right, so it's roughly like this. The inner part of the ball, the very inner part, not outer part of the rim. Okay, either way, you can measure outer part or either inner part. So in my case, I'm measuring the inner part about this wide, and then the depth about 90 millimeters. Okay, so that is the measurement, and then my next one, I could throw the inner part like that. I'm using my number 17 to square up, trim off the excessive clay. Right, so my first noodle bowl, I don't usually throw it very thin because I want the certain thickness to hold the shape better. And if I want to make it thinner, I can always trim it easily. Using a very sharp tool, I can trim it easily. So that is the first ball. So I will just fast forward and you can see the whole process of 3 balls. Basically just repeat the same thing. Right, so I keep on using my measuring tool to measure it. Now this is about right, the width and the depth. And all I need to do is just clean up, make sure the inside is nice and smooth. All right, so this is the third one. And the tool you see I was using is the round ribs, my 5 inches round rib. And then when the hole is smaller, I was using my number 4, my 4 inches round rib to make a nice perfect curve before I start to lift it. And also my hybrid, the profile rib and also the bow rib. This part here, you could have a nice perfect curve here. And if you want to do the moon job, you can use the other side. And for trimming the excessive clay of the corner, my number 17. Okay, Tombo stick. Usually you've seen the Tombo stick, they come with 3 pieces. But with my invention here, using the O-ring to hold it, you need only 2 pieces. And 2 functions too. One for turn it into a Tombo stick, or you can use that to measure the thickness of the bottom before you trim. And when you are trimming, you can also check if you got enough depth. Okay, so that is all the tools I use for this demonstration, and they are available on my Squarespace shop or Etsy shop, ETSY, or Squarespace. If you are living in the US, might be cheaper out of state, out of California. You might get it cheaper from my Squarespace shop. Here is the 3 finished pieces of the noodle bowls. Okay, thanks for watching and see you next time.